In this video, I am going to explain adding and subtracting fractions. Now, the main tip with this is that you can only add and subtract fractions when the denominators are the same. So what exactly does that mean? Let's say I give you three halves and I ask you to add that to 1/2. You can do that because both these denominators are 2. So you just add straight across. So 3 plus 1 all over. Unlike how we multiplied and divide when you would also multiply the denominators, in this, the denominator just stays the same. So you're going to have 3 plus 1 over 2, which is 4 halves, or, in other words, you can look at that as 2 when you simplify it down. So 2 whole pieces. Visually, if you have 3 halves, we'll just draw a picture. So here's 1/2 of a circle, here's 2 halves of a circle, and here's another half of a circle. So that's 3 halves right there, and then we're going to add another half. You can see that that is just simply 2 full circles. Or in our case, the number 2. Now subtracting is the same concept. Say we have 3 halves and we subtract a half. We just do 3 minus 1 all over the same denominator, 2. 3 minus 1 is 2 over 2. This is just 1. Let's look at that visually again. We have 1/2, 2 halves, 3 halves, and we're going to take one of those halves away. So we're taking a half away. That is simply just 1 full circle, or 1. If the denominators aren't the same, we have to find a way to make them the same. So let's say I give you 3 halves plus 1/5. What does that equal to? Well, the denominators need to be the same. So we have to find the least common denominator, which is genuinely the least common multiple of the two denominators. But what exactly is a least common denominator or a least common multiple? We're going to take this 2 and we're going to multiply it by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on until we get a match of something that is 5 times 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Those numbers will eventually match, and that will be the least common multiple of the two. So let's start. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 6 is 12. And I think that's enough numbers, so we'll stop there. Now let's look at it for 5. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 2 is 10. And look, we can stop because we have a match. 10 and 10. So now we know that these two can be rewritten as 10. But what do we have to do to make the denominator 10? Well, for 3 halves, we had to multiply the 2 by 5 to get to 10. And whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top to keep that fraction as its same value. This would be like multiplying by 1. 3 halves is going to become 15 over 10. Now let's look at 1/5. For 5, to get from 5 to 10, we had to multiply by 2. So we're going to multiply the bottom by 2, And whatever we do to the bottom of a fraction, we have to do to the top to keep the fraction at its same value. So that's just going to be 1 times 2 is 2, all over 5 times 2, which is 10. So now we can add these fractions. We're going to have 15 over 10, which was the 3 over 2, plus 2 over 10. And 2 over 10 was the 1 over 5. 15 plus 2 all over just 10. So that's going to be 17 over 10, which cannot be simplified anymore. So 17 over 10 is our answer for this problem. Looking real quick as a side note, if I was to give you 3 over 2 minus 1 over 5, you would do the same exact steps you did here in trying to find fractions that have the same exact denominator, but it would be 15 over 10 minus 2 over 10, and 15 minus 2 is 13, all over 10. So 13 over 10 would be the answer if you were subtracting the two fractions. Let's say I give you 4 over 3 minus 2 over 2. Right off the bat, these are not the same denominator, so we have to find a common denominator. So let's write out the multiples for 3. So 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 4 is 12, and I think that should be enough numbers because these are pretty small, so you don't have to go very far to find something that's in common. Now let's do 2. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, and there we have it. 6 is going to be the common denominator, and 6 is the least common multiple of the two, so it's also the least common denominator. Now let's rewrite the fractions. To get from 3 to 6, we multiplied by 2. So we're multiplying the bottom by 2 and the top by 2. So this is going to give us 8 over 6. Now to get from 2 to 6, we multiplied by 3. So 2 times 3 will be 6, and 2 times 3 is 6 again. Now that we have the same denominator, we can just subtract them. So 8 over 6, which is equal to 4 over 3, minus 6 over 6, which is equal to 2 over 2, is going to be 8 minus 6 all over the same denominator, 6. 8 minus 6 is 2, and 6 is just 6, so 2 sixths. And remember, don't forget to simplify. 2 over 6, 2 can go into both of these, so just divide them both by 2, and we're going to get 2 divided by 2 is equal to 1, and 6 divided by 2 is equal to 3. So our answer is going to be 1/3. 5/8 plus 6/10. Again, not the same denominator, so let's find the least common denominator. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and we'll stop there. 10, 20, 30, 40. So they both have a least common denominator of 40. And I knew to stop at 40 because anything multiplied by 10 will have a 0 at the end of it. So that's a trick to know. Just get familiar with the numbers. Now, to get from 8 to 40, we multiply by 5. So whatever we do to the denominator, we have to do to the numerator to keep the fraction value equivalent. So 5 times 5 is 25, and 8 times 5 is 40. Now to get from 10 to 40, we multiply by 4. So 6 times 4 is 24, all over 10 times 4 is 40. Now that we have the same denominator, we can add them together. So the 5/8 is really 25 over 40, plus the 6/10 we found to be 24 over 40. So I'm just rewriting the problem. So 25 plus 24 is going to give us 49 all over 40.